So 7 is when you first appeared on TV, right?
Yeah, 7 is when I started working professionally. I'm watching TV last night and there was somebody on TV saying, I started doing this, professionally when I was 15, and everybody around them was like, and I found myself watching it going, that is so young, because I've now got a child of my own. And then I go, oh yeah, that's why people react to me weirdly when I say 7.
7. You are half that.
But it felt right. If it's something that you're just doing that you love, it doesn't feel like work, and it's a passion. So whether it's sort of sports or entertainment or whatever, and just got a lucky break and loved it.
Because you would have been the kid at school that was the famous kid. Like, I went to school with Toby Mangle from Neighbours, and everyone was like, it's fucking Toby Mangle from Neighbours. Like, yeah.
I wasn't aware of it too much. I didn't get hassled too much. It was completely a different era.
Right, yeah.
Kids didn't have mobile phones. Press was something that was in a newspaper.
Right.
Any communication with fan was via a written letter that was stamped and posted to you. And it wasn't, I don't know, now kids even write on school forms, what do you want to be? And so many of them write, I want to be famous.
Yeah, which is scary.
Back then that wouldn't have been written. It wasn't like, people weren't aware of it in the same way.
Yeah.
So
well,
I kind of had quite an innocent, normal life growing up, just going to a public school, kids leaving me alone. I mean, I was kind of like there just before school, did all the classes, had to do my homework in my lunch hour, so I wasn't really in the playground being pointed at and whatever.
Yeah, right.
I was just doing my homework, and then after school would split and go straight to rehearsals, so I didn't really notice it that much.
Yeah, right.
And then you just make sure you date the tough guy at school, and it's
everyone
fine.
backs right off, don't they?
Yeah, that's a good idea.
So what was the reality? Because I grew up obviously loving Johnny Young, Young Talent Time. Vince, Collar Up. Oh my God. Collar Up.
A little sequin.
Oh, it was so amazing. What was the reality of it? Was it hard work, or was it like a band camp where it's just so inbred in there? Like, what was the reality of Young Talent Time?
It was just enjoyable. So a real family atmosphere, and I saw all of the other kids more than I did my own brother and sister at that time. We were just talking about it yesterday, actually. Still stay in contact, and I know their families very well, and we would just love hanging out, doing what we loved doing. We'd get all out of control, we'd have to be screamed at, but there were no rules back then for the hours that kids worked, so we worked ridiculously long hours to pull together a live show like that every week. There weren't all of the kids can only work between these hours and have tutors and coffee breaks and all of this. There's none of that.
So what kind of hours
Pack
were you
your
doing?
own lunch. Mum and Dad drive you there, and be there till we finish.
So there wasn't even catering. You would have like a peanut butter sandwich in between rehearsals.
Yeah, you take your own food, and at Channel 10 where we filmed, you just go to the canteen on those studio days. They provide that, but all of the other stuff, it was just show up, really.
Wow. Yeah, it is so
we didn't know
different,
any
isn't
different,
it?
so...
Because you can't have... Like, I even just did a tiny, 30-second thing on a show the other day, and my son, Bax, was there, and it was at a kids thing, and they asked me to bring him, and then when we got there, through legals, you can't even have your own kids, or you have to, it's 15-minute blocks or something like that. That show wouldn't have happened, really.
No, they couldn't do it like we did it back then. But even things as far as, just talking music at the moment, the programs that you've got where you just play in music and it'll just transcribe it into written sheet music and stuff. There was none of that. We had musical directors. There were people sitting down writing every note, and we'd be there, we'd be waiting for the musicians to finish their bit so we could get in and, go through the vocals, and it was a completely different world in every respect. And then it's, crazy now to be doing stuff like X Factor, and if we've got the kids that are 14 years old, there's different hours that they can work compared to the rest of the kids. And
and also just how much is available now for them. You know, like how different even the amount of people who are probably on set doing this, doing that, compared to then.
Yeah, I mean, it was just, I guess, you know, a small group of people, and we were all there for a long time. So it's not like shows now where you're in something for a season.
Yeah.
I mean, we grew up there and
How
grew
long
up
were
in
you?
front of people, you know, in their lounge rooms.
Yeah, literally. How long was your time on Young Talent Time for?
So I started doing little background bits for them just before I was 7. I was a contestant. I think it was the day that I was turning 8. And then I was full-time from 10 to 16. So it was actually sort of from 7 to 16 that I was a big part of it.
Yeah.
I just said to Mum and Dad I wanted to learn how to sing and dance. Went on to the Johnny Young Talent School, which a lot of people went to. I was nowhere near as good as anyone else in the class. Wasn't even going there to be noticed. I just went there because that's what I wanted to do. And my sister was learning how to play piano, and I thought, that's boring. I don't want to do that.
Oh my God.
She was learning flute and piano, and I'm like,
My mum made us learn piano, and she'd make us practice, and I'm like,
look, I'd love to have that skill now, but
yeah, now you would, but back then, torture.
Yeah, I just wanted to sing and dance and move about, and the teacher just said to Johnny Young, this girl's got something, you know, you should maybe audition her and have a look. So I think they got me on as contestant to camera test me. I'm oblivious. I'm just not aware of, you know, the whole plan of what's happening.
And then that was it. Body image with young girls is a huge thing. Part of me is so grateful I've got 2 boys, because I feel like maybe in the teenage years we're going to have a little easier. What were your body pressures, body image issues growing up over in the public life?
Weirdly, I was quite confident about my body, and I think that was because of all the dancing that I did at Young Talent Time. Like, I had an awareness of my body, and I felt like, you know, it could do everything that I wanted it to do.
Yeah, right.
Kids often don't just even appreciate that. You normally appreciate that when you're older. You're like, I can still walk, I can still ski, or whatever you want it to do. But I felt good about my body, and I never had this thing where I felt like I had to be a certain size.
Right.
Then there was a whole weird thing after my sister became famous and was a very different body shape. Especially when we were both working in the UK, there was so much like headlines of newspapers commenting on the difference of our bodies, and it was very derogatory towards me, and that basically I wasn't her.
Yeah, right.
And luckily I never let that destroy me, because I'm looking back at it now and I'm going, how did it
not? Yeah.
It was hard, but I didn't develop any eating disorders or any, you know, psychological issues. I just knew what they were saying was totally rude, and they shouldn't be saying that, but I'll let them be those people, and all I can be is just me and in control of me, and my job was sometimes just having to deal with it. So
do you feel
but it's interesting now, because I think there's so much more pressure these days on not only kids but adults. And I had such a fascinating time when I was over in London just over a year ago, judging on Top Model, and I love the psychology angle of it all, how they felt about themselves, how that made them move in front of the camera, and me being able to coach and mentor them, because I guess I did have that strength when I was younger, to really make them feel good about the things that were different, that made them different. Right. And still to this day, like, this is one of my favourite jobs, because I felt like I got in there and got to just reshape their attitudes, and
Yeah.
then they can go out into the world. And
Yeah.
so I love all of that. I love speaking to, you know, especially the younger ones about it, because, you know, hopefully you can change something before they get a mindset that's stuck for too long.
Do you feel pressure now to look a certain way, or is there a pressure in the business where it's like, we've got to just be eternally youthful, we can't wear that, we've got to wear that? Do you succumb to those pressures?
I think that there will always be those pressures in this business, and there's more and more of that in real life. Even if you're not on camera, it's like, you know, you're a mum, but do you look great?
Yeah.
You know, and having to be perfect all the time. We put these pressures on ourselves, on our friends, on our family members. There's definitely, you know, entertainment loves the fountain of youth. But again, I have a real inner strength that there will come a day where people don't want to put me on camera. That's okay. There will be that day. But I think that if you have integrity and you have intelligence within your personality, then there'll be a greater desire to still have you on TV and have you around, that there's substance there and it's more than what
Your
you
physical.
just see. I mean, I was so lucky to work a couple of years back in London doing all big Marks and Spencer's campaigns with Twiggy. I mean,
right.
She's just so beautiful inside and out, and it just glows, and she's so kind. And there was a group of us working, all different models. I'm like, petite, she's a little petite too. There was the tall lingerie Brazilian model and some other tall, gorgeous, you know, model, traditional model types. And we're all just hanging out together and talking. And I mean, everyone is just drawn to her because she's just got this inner beauty that age will never affect. And I want to be that kind of a person.
Yeah. It's funny here though. I feel like almost in Australia it seems to be worse. Where I was, Colette Mann was on the couch with me the other day, and she was saying how, you know, in acting it can be a little bit kinder, but in presenting for women, you look at who's doing the news, and there can be men that are 70 delivering the news, but there's no women who are that old reading our news bulletins or presenting. You know, it seems like there's definitely a division between how far men can go and how long they can be on camera to women.
Yeah. And I mean, it's not just here. There were a lot of conversations about that in the UK when I was living there, about the news presenters and the difference of when they were getting rid of the female presenters who were very popular with the audience, but the men seem to remain. So I don't know when that will change, but even with the modelling, there's fabulous campaigns around at the moment. Like Karen Walker's used these models. I think youngest is in the 60s up to 80s, and there's just these fabulous women modelling her clothes and sunglasses, and they're really taken off because she has used them. Now they're really out there working. I follow a model in London on Instagram called Iman, and she has been around for many years, and she has really embraced social media, and she started this thing called Ageless Beauty. Which is pretty much the whole thing that I'm talking about. Just, present yourself well at any age. Yeah. And really have that, inner beauty is so important. And I just dig reading all of the stuff that she does. Yeah. Hopefully I get to meet her one day.
Yeah.
But
was she married to Bowie? Have I got the right?
Yeah, still is. So there's a lot of cool people out there that are doing great stuff. And the world is changing all the time. The fact that we're sitting here talking about it and aware of it means things will change. Yeah, because
I have got a 6-month-old, and I find that I'm really quite harsh on my body. I feel like, I said to Sam, my boyfriend, the other day, I'm like, I haven't felt hot in so long, if he brushes past my boobs, I'm like, oh no, they're not yours, they belong to Arlo. It's like I feel my body is unrecognisable. Yet I had a baby 6 months ago, but then I still find occasionally I'll look around and go, fuck, I feel uncomfortable, I wish I looked more like that, or I have to check in all the time and go, it doesn't matter, but it is there, you know, for me, and I know there is for a lot of women.
I think it's just the world now that everything's got to be perfect, and it really annoys me that women feel like they have to bounce back so quickly. It's just so harsh. Your body's not meant to do that.
Not at all. But I don't almost feel external pressure. I feel it on myself for some reason. You know, like to everyone else, I know I look normal and fine. But to me, I'm like, oh no, my tummy's not where it should be. But like, fuck, it grew a human. You know.
Yeah, twice.
Yeah. Speaking of growing humans, what was it like for you when you found out that you were having your little baby?
Well, I was never the person that thought they were going to have kids or really wanted to have kids. It wasn't in my world, in my mind. Whereas I had friends that were like, I have to have a child by this age, and then I'm having this many, and I was like, whoa. Which I guess is kind of good, because I never had pressure on myself that was something I had to do or didn't have to do. And it was a really incredible moment finding out that I was pregnant, and I've never loved my body more than when I was like 6-7 months pregnant, and you can just rub the belly. I miss that a lot. Even like when I'm sleeping and I lie down, I miss that feeling of having that whole bump there.
You know what I remember?
And I thought that would really go away by now, but
it hasn't. You still want the belly there. Just have a couple burgers in the belly.
I just still want that.
You know what I remember? Because when I first fell pregnant for the first trimester, I was so sick. And I remember hearing an interview with you at that time saying, I've never felt better than when I'm 5 months pregnant. And I remember going, fuck you, Dannii Minogue. That is rubbish. I got to 5 months pregnant. I'm like, me and Dannii, I could have run a marathon. The endorphins and... just the love of my body. I felt beautiful just with this big belly and not worrying about my body, because it's like I have this big tummy, I'm going to embrace it. And I got in the bikinis and I'm like, bring it on. How did you? Awesome. It is so beautiful. How did you feel after having the baby with your body? Was it like you're okay with that?
Well, instead of like I had no pressure to get back into shape quickly, and instead of going back to my shape, I actually was a lot thinner. I had some health troubles that were undiagnosed for a while, and I was really struggling and losing weight rapidly.
When you had your tiny baby?
Yeah.
Oh, that's stressful.
So I had a thyroid trouble, which apparently is quite common after having a baby.
Yeah, right.
Gosh, if I'd known the sign, that it just would have occurred to me, but it didn't. And then like about a week after I found out about the thyroid thing and just started to even try and get that under control, I ended up in hospital with appendicitis, having my appendix out. So I was like, my body was really struggling with a lot of things that weren't working, and I was so thin. It was very hard to be a mom. And then it was quite weird for me, because there'd be a lot of people coming up saying, isn't it fabulous, you've bounced back and you're so skinny. And I thought, skinny isn't what I want to be. I don't even need to be the size that I was before. I just need to be a healthy mum so I can look after my child. So that's the track that I'm on that's really important to me. But it's interesting to see how important it is to other people that you're skinny again.
Isn't it? It's full. And normally, sometimes, like if I get stressed and stuff, I drop a bit of weight, and people are like, you look amazing. I'm like, I'm so miserable right now. I'm so sick right now. I don't even want to, I can't even enjoy this rock and bod, because I'm so, not there right now. It's funny, isn't it? So you've got one little boy, which how heavenly are little boys?
I thought you were going to say heavy. He is heavy.
Yeah, heavy
and heavenly.
And rat baggy and just so... How is he full on?
He's a real sweetheart. He's very gentle.
That'd be nice. Mine's not. He's beautiful and loving, but like, just get down, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I think lucky for me, his cousin's a bit more boyish, so when you get the three of them together, he's kind of standing at the edge, like observing.
Oh, cute.
And I guess being an only child, I mean, he's just a bit more quiet. He doesn't have that other person there to sort of get in there with. But very gentle, quite intelligent, loves languages and stuff. And
what do you mean loves languages?
He loves speaking to people, learning words, and then my friends who speak different languages, I'll say, I'll just speak to them a bit in your native tongue, and he just picks stuff up, and then when he sees them, he'll just say hello in whatever their language.
Way.
Yeah, it's just like that's
you've got a
normal
Mensa child.
to him. Well, I keep saying to him, because next year will be school, and I don't think I'm ready for him to go to school 5 days a week. So I keep saying, no, you don't need to go. Too smart. And you can write your name, and look, what else do you need? You can,
Seriously, that's all you need to get through life.
So he's like, no, but I really want to go to school. And I'm like, no, decided, don't need to go. So he's a real cutie, loves all of that stuff. He's quite sporty from his dad, loves sort of lots of ball games, and he's had private golf lessons.
No way.
And the golf instructor's like, he's
got something.
He's got a swing on him.
And you're like, jackpot, retirement fund right there.
Yes, so golf is,
Totally. I did the first kinder drop off the other day, and it was torture. Dannii, I got home because he cried and wouldn't want to leave me, and I got home, and because every instinct in my body was like, I need to take him home with me, even though I know it's a good thing for him. Has Ethan been, like, what have been your first drop-offs like?
Well, Ethan was in creche before that, because I started back at work at 4, when he was 4 months old.
Right.
And just did a couple of things, and then sort of full-time at, I think 4 months, went back to London to do X Factor.
Right.
And then when I came home from there, I needed some creche time so that I could still work.
Yeah.
So I was used to it with him being young, and it was less scary because I saw him coming home and he'd learnt things, and it was great for him to learn how to be with other kids, especially being, an only child. And so he's just jumped straight into kindy, and it hasn't been... Yeah, the only thing is next year I'm thinking 5 days a week.
I know.
9 a.m.
I know.
I like sleep-ins and cuddles with him and stuff.
Yes. When you do drop-offs and stuff like that, because you are known, does he know that his mum is Dannii? Does he know that you're famous?
He said to me last year, he said, Mummy, somebody at school said that you're famous, but I told them you're not. You're very nice.
Oh, he thought it was not a good thing.
Yeah. So I tried to explain to him what it is. I'm not sure that he totally understands that, but he knows that, his mum and his aunt and his dad are on television. So we'll get there.
Yeah, it'll just be the norm for him anyway, growing up, because he won't know any different either.
Yeah.
If he's like, Mum, I'm going to get into entertainment, I want to sing, are you going to be like, yeah, that's okay?
What? I don't know.
Yeah.
He better be...
Because like you said, it's a different time now with social media and everything. It's not as... The ride is not as... It wouldn't be the same as what yours has been.
Yeah, I actually don't know how I would feel about that.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, he hates it when I even get out my phone to take a picture of him. He's like, Mummy, no, put your phone away. He just...
Not interested.
No, doesn't really pose for things. Like, you're really lucky if you get a picture.
Yeah,
like,
right.
Can you smile, please?
Yeah.
So he's not that performing kid, I don't think.